Crystal from Raspberry Spool and welcome to my sewing space. Today I'm going to show you how to put together your blocks for the Raspberry Applique using the Hawaiian quilting applique technique. To get started, we're going to fold the feature fabric. Now there is a certain way to fold this so we don't get into a mess at the end. It did happen to me once and I ended up with lots of little pieces rather than one big piece opening up, so that was a bit of a sad day. Alright, so we folded it in half. We've now got a long rectangle, and then I'm going to fold it in half again to create a square. Now if you've done this step correctly, you're going to have one fold on this side and two folds on this side. The final part is folding the folded edges together to form a triangle. Now you know you've folded it correctly when you have the one fold on this side and you have 4 folds showing on this side, and then all your raw edges are on the one side of this triangle. Alright, so I've pinned my template down here. I'm going to take my my pen or my marker and I'm going to trace around template. So now I can remove my template and you can see I've transferred the markings there. I'm going to pop pins right through all the layers of the fabric here. This will just keep it in place while I'm cutting because I am going to cut all of these at the same time. A really sharp pair of dressmaking scissors will help you here. Now that our feature fabric has been cut out using the template, I'm going to start basting it to the background fabric. I've ironed in a temporary line through the fabric of the background fabric, and this will help me line up my feature fabric on top. Right, now that that's all smoothed out and I'm happy with the placement, my lines are matching up, especially on the corners, because you want to have these nicely spaced out. It can be quite easy for bits to shift over, especially when there's quite a few pieces, like some of the more tricky blocks. What I'm going to do is pop a couple of pins through it, particularly on these big long ones. Make sure everything stays in place while we hand baste it. The hand basting is actually part of the traditional technique, and it serves a dual purpose. And it helps us when we're appliquing this down. I've loaded up my needle with a contrasting thread and I'm going to do a hand basting or a running stitch along the edge of the fabric here. So we want to come in about 1/4 of an inch through from the raw edge. Probably a generous 1/4 of an inch. And we're just going to go right around the shape with this running stitch. Now it doesn't need to be particularly neat, as in you don't need to worry terribly about the stitch length of this basting stitch. It's just designed to keep everything in place as we're going around. It holds it down and it helps us applique the shape down later. I don't know about you, but scrunching up the fabric and having a whole bunch of pins in there is not an enjoyable experience. So I'm going to go right the way around and then we're going to start turning in that edge.